Welcome again. This is Message from the Future, the second one, and it's a channel from the Future Skills Academy. Then today, our topic is safe space. Safe space. And I have Mama Kangaroo to help me, because what is a safe space and how do you build it? That's the topic for this session. And before I continue, I try to make a safe space here first. So I will ask you questions and I want you to write it in the chat. Okay? All right. I would like you to write your name and your native language in the chat, but in your native language. So in my case, my name is Choi Yun Yan. That's how you write it in my native language. My language is Guangdonghua. So I would like you to write in your native language your name and the native language. I have two other examples for you that I show to you. From my friend Ali from Tehran. And the second one, that might be one for you to guess. So please go ahead, write your name and the language in your native language. We see names coming in at this moment. Now, my question to you, how does this look like or see when you see different languages?
It's actually quite interesting. Sorry, so what makes me think of is that often when people, so for instance, when I work with people from China, they would write their name in English, and they would sometimes also have English names where I go like, is that really? Yeah, exactly. But I feel awkward by asking them what their Chinese name is because I don't want to insult them or something, and but it's so odd because what I want to say then is that, I mean, should I use a Chinese name then? Well, what's really weird?
Yeah.
I mean, that's odd, right? So anyway, seeing the names in all the different letters, if you will, alphabets, if you will, that makes me think of that. It's like,
Interesting. I do want to hear from Fadi. He is my friend. Just to let you know, Fadi, you are my friend. Share with us how does that work for you?
Well, yeah, it's most of all the diversity. I like this one. Through my life, I've been traveling a lot, either from my childhood until now. So my father used it to be an expat, so we use it to travel a lot. So I'm really use it to kind of, let's say, face different culture, different languages, different ways of writing, and so on. And whenever you feel it's missing, you feel something awkward, something really weird, because you kind of miss this diversity, miss this kind of interaction with people, interaction with other cultures. But also when I see different languages, I always refer to it as different, let's say, different understanding, different stories, and each culture has its own way of expressing things and so on. Some languages are similar to each other. I salute my friend Ali from Tehran, because we almost use the same, let's say, typo of writing. However, the pronunciation is different. There are some characters that are different, but it's almost the same way of writing. And and there are some languages that personally I speak 4 languages, so and I can see the differences, even though all the languages I speak, except for Arabic, they write in Latin characters, but they all have different kind of understanding and comprehension of the same word or the same sentence you can use.
Thank you, Fadi. So let's go to Ali, and Ali, what do you see or feel when you see your written words in the chat and see the others?
Well, first of all, hello everyone. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you, Union, for inviting me to this chat. Well, I think apart from diversity that our friends also mentioned, to me it's like a sign to new stories and amazing life experiences that other people have. For example, the experience that we share at DC or at bootcamp, it's a sign that you are about to learn something fun and exciting that you didn't expect it. For instance, Iran and other countries don't have the same weekend, for instance. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's a sign that you are going to see things or experience things that are not the way that were supposed to be for you, at least. Yeah, they are going to be completely different, but they are going to be very normal for that person specifically. Yeah.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you for sharing. I see a lady who is nodding her head so much that I'm afraid it falls off her body, Julie.
I am just so happy to hear from people from around the world on this topic, because it feels to me that when we use our languages and we welcome the use of these different languages, yes, it opens up experiences, different experiences from everyone. I don't know about you, it feels just so much more inclusive. Instead of assuming that our language is the only language, it makes us, we actually have to slow down and try to listen, because also we don't understand these other languages. So it creates pause in our interactions. And for me, it creates space for something to come that maybe I didn't foresee. So yes, so thank you.
Thank you. Yes, let's move on. So I double check with you. Is everybody okay? This is okay. This is okay. So let's move on. So my second question for you is to go back into your memories and find a moment that you did not feel safe. It can be in a learning context, can be in a working context. And the question I want you to answer is, what did you see in that moment? What did you hear? What did you think? What did you feel? And I give you my example. It was a conference, many people, a lot of white men, a little bit older, some female ladies also, and the speaker said something bad about brown people. I felt very bad, very hesitant what to do, very frustrated, couldn't concentrate myself. So that was a very unsafe situation. So please use your own language, go back into your memories, and pick a situation that felt unsafe for you. So what do you see in the chat? Do you see things you recognize, or something? Do you see things that are new to you?
I can share something. Because I wanted to share that feeling sort of unsafe. It doesn't have to be, so I share sort of actually quite a simple thing. It's not even a big moment where I feel like what you were describing, that's like, that's horrible. one where you go like, do I stand up? Do I say something? Do I leave? What do I do? Right.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm slightly social awkward, which is weird because I think maybe I'm autistic or something. I don't know, but I always had a problem with going to you know, like a party, like business part, you know, events, receptions, whatever, dinners, and with a lot of people I don't know. So I can be on stage at a conference and then go off stage in between, and then I'm the guy with the Coca-Cola somewhere in the back, and I don't know how to act with groups of people if I don't know them. That actually makes I really feel unhappy then. So, and I don't know why, because my brain goes like, just go up and so they're talking, you know, and I can't. So that's also a feeling of unsafety. Although I work with people all day, every day, and so my brain goes like, what's wrong with you? So so I get stuck. That's a very unsafe, but it's, you know, it's a very simple, nothing bad is happening. It's just really inside. Nobody knows, actually, it's just me. So, right. But that's also really something to realize that, you know, because unsafety is within you often.
Mhm. Thank you for sharing, Arne. And it seems that it could be a concept within your own head, the one voice talking to the other voice, and all these voices are you, and it's
Yes,
not somebody outside you who is causing it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Often,
thank you. Yeah.
often it is. Yeah.
Who else? Who else wants to share a little bit?
I would like Pauline to share her
Mhm.
experience. Is that okay? You said you were dropped somewhere in Cuba by your taxi driver. Hi.
Yes, and we were with our children and with another family also with children, and I think that also made me feel unsafe because they were there, and normally I don't have that, and also what Arne says, because I didn't speak the language, I couldn't connect really to them, because there were a lot of other taxi drivers also standing there and talking loud to each other and laughing, and you had the feeling that that they dropped all these tourists there or something. It felt strange, but it wasn't strange at all after all when I looked back, and they were just having fun, but because we couldn't understand. So language is also a big part of it can make you feel safe or unsafe, but it's mostly in your head, as you said, Julian, because in the end there was nothing. The feeling was totally wrong because it was safe, and we were taken by another taxi driver to the place where we wanted to go, and everything was okay. So it was a strange feeling after all when I look back at it.
Mm. Thank you, Pauline. Now I also see in the chat an example by Vitas, and it seems as if you were causing unsafety. Now I'm saying this, paraphrasing it, but please explain a little bit, Vitas.
No, you're totally right. Because I'm doing interviews with people who are having troubles talking, reading, writing in Dutch. And in this case, it was in the cleaning industry. So I was happily diving into interviews because when you talk to people, you get to know them and you actually hear things, and nothing. It was all too correct, and only like a couple of days afterwards, I started to realize I'm not sure if this is a thing, but there's in the Netherlands there's this book where which is written about the 7 marks. Well, how do you call it in English? Checks.
Checks.
So basically, you're white, you're male, you're high, you have a higher education and whatnot. And I was there having all these checks, and so there was kind of a hierarchy thing, and I'm not gonna tell this guy because I don't know what he's gonna do with it. He has a laptop from Apple and has this neat shirt on, and it's like he just jumps in and then starts asking me questions, and yeah, so I like afterwards I'm realizing, hey, I might have made them feel unsafe, and I'm certainly not the person to do these empathy interviews with these people. So actually we're now searching for others who either have a similar cultural background or are working as cleaners themselves or anything like that, because I was just the wrong person for that task in that sense. So yeah, and that for me that was awkward because I want to be positive. I want to. I think I'm open, but yeah, in that case, I was totally not.
All right. Thank you, Niklas. Thank you. Thank you. This is a clear example of you don't mean to cause unsafety or to create unsafety, but it happens because you are you. Let's give you an opportunity to meet each other in the breakout room and share a little bit more details with each other. And from your conversation in the breakout room, I hope you can collect a few ideas or solutions to break unsafety or to strengthen safety in a group.
Yeah. And then I give the stage to them. But also we'll call our names. Is that okay? Yes. Yeah. I gave them a warning. Yeah, thanks.
Welcome back. Oh, I see a lovely smile, Elisette. Something happened in the breakout room.
Yeah, it's nice to know new people, know about, a little bit about the stories. It's good.
Oh, that was powerful. You're right. Absolutely. We're wrapping it up now.
No, we're in the plenary.
Hi, Ayana. Yeah. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back.
We can continue.
Before I ask you for some sharing, I show you how so I used a kangaroo as a metaphor for a safe space. Usher them away and keep your pouch closed. Now, you had conversations in your breakout rooms. So I'm expecting I'm expecting solutions that are really practical, easy to act out. So may I first hear back from Swarina?
So in my breakout room, it was me and Fedi. I didn't share because I didn't get time, but Fedi had a very interesting story about when he was small, surviving in the war for 3 weeks, trying to find shelter, and then how he got out with his family. So I think he is a better person to, share about it. But it was quite, I mean, now that you listen to it, you are like, whoa, this is like a movie scene, but he actually faced it. So
Hadi, please share a little bit with us.
Yeah, thanks, Sorina. So the experience about the feeling non-safety, I remember it because when I was 9 years old, my father was expat in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and we witnessed the second Gulf War. It was back in the Kuwait, and we were living kind of 50 kilometers with near the border, the Kuwaiti border, and the Iraq invaded the whole region, so including the city that we were living in. So it was the city that received most of the bombing from most of the airstrikes and so on. And we were trying to find a kind of shelter. We lived into a refugee camp for more than, okay, it's a kind of 3 weeks. We are trying to find a contact at the embassy to find a way back home. But yeah, fortunately, after 3 weeks, we've been kind of, let's say, escorted outside of this dangerous zone into more a safety zone or something like that. But yeah, it was an extreme experience I had when I was 9 years old. So it's still, yeah, forged in my mind. And I think whenever I think about non-safety, it's the first thing that comes into my mind.
Yes, thank you, Fadi.
Thank you.
And may I ask you, this experience as a child, what is it inspiration or action do you take to keep yourself and your family or even co-workers safe? Is there a connection between these two questions?
Well, I think after this experience, I've grown up. I've grown up, but I give special attention to people, not, let's say, about being safe. And the issue about being safe is almost, as you said, having a shelter, having something to eat, having some. This is something. What does it mean for me to be safe? It's to be able to survive, to have dignity, and especially not to fear, okay, from the uncertainty. And that's something I'm trying to avoid, especially within family. Now I'm as an entrepreneur also, I'm trying to make things more and more clear, to give safety to coworkers, to employees. And this is something, yeah, I think it forged a little bit my personality throughout the years. So yeah, that's the thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. May we hear from Ineke?
It took some time to get me to be heard. Technical problems, not personal, and not from my co-talkers. Oria told us about being put on stage without knowing beforehand and feeling very anxious about it. And yeah, I believe he could talk his talk and tell people what he had to tell, but for him it wasn't a good experience. But on the other side, had he known beforehand that he had to talk to this group of people, it would have been worse. So it's all things have two sides, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you, Ineke. And perhaps personally for yourself, was there an insight that you picked up from the conversation?
Now that you learn that you can learn to do these things, talking to groups of people and get better at it and feeling better about it.
Thank you.
Through the years. It's not something you learn within 5 minutes.
Yes. Be kind to yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ineke. Last person I would like to ask, Colin, can you share a bit from your group?
Yeah, we had an interesting sharing. I won't do the detail, but Ayana shared something from her personal life because it came on the back end, and it was just interesting, a juxtaposition that she shared something about feeling unsafe from a personal context, as opposed to the professional space, and it just made me think about how safety, the feeling of safety in an organizational space or the professional context, is this very similar to the feeling of safety in our personal lives as well. And it has a lot to do with our own mindsets as well, in terms of the way we perceive a given context or situation. And not only about what's external, but almost like a sense of responsibility for how we deal with the way we perceive and how we deal with the emotions that we experience in certain situations can sometimes be as a result of our habitual ways of perceiving things in the same way. And so we can kind of make things up sometimes when they don't actually exist.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And you see my brain's going slower, huh?
Yeah.
I'm digesting what is said. Yes. It's building safe spaces, and of course I'm not saying that I know all about it. I know some, some little things I do, and it in the conversation that I just heard is that there are so many more nuances about a safe space, about the safe keeper, about the one who unintentionally cracks the safe space, and the other one, meaning the person who was watching. How do you say that in English? The one who happens to be there and observed. What do you think about that? Who wants to share a thought? I can hear your brains cracking, guys. So crack out loud.
Julie has a thought.
I have a thought, and it may not be related to what you've just said, so forgive me. It seems to me that sometimes there's some very real threats. And in this conversation so far, we've been talking about the internal threats, right? And the programming and the formatting and the voices that tie back to past programming. And then we hear something or feel something and we're triggered. I'd like to posit that sometimes there really are very, very real threats. And you started this whole discussion with the story of the brown-skinned person and the racial slur that was intentional or not intentional. My question to you is, what did you do? And what could have been done to either stop or prevent the unsafety that resulted from that experience, which was a very real, unimagined thing that happened for everybody in that room, I'm sure. If not everyone, at least you.
Yeah.
And that should not be ignored. That was not something you created in your head. That was something that was a threat and made everyone unsafe.
Yeah. So this is a question to me, Julie. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't want to take too much space since, it's 50, but I'll share because it's true. There is a next chapter. Very uncomfortable, the feeling. So, how, if you would have seen me, I was like this on my chair, like I want to go, but the whole situation, perhaps I shouldn't. And frantic is the word, I guess. So the speech by this speaker was finished. And everybody was mingling and having chats, and my heart was pounding. But I needed to stand up and tell this person what I felt. So a bit shaking, I went up to this this person and I introduced myself. I said, I enjoyed your talk on the content. You also described this. I don't think that was necessary. I felt very much insulted. And at that moment, he started to apologize, but I didn't want to hear it. And I finished by saying, it means I never would want to work for you. And then I left. But even now you're asking me, my my breath is here because the moment comes back. It was so difficult to stand up by myself. It felt alone. Yeah. So I wanted you all to be with me. Yeah.
Next time, give us a call.
Yeah, I will, because you are on speed dial. Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. So that's, perhaps this is the reason why the topic of keeping a space safe for everyone, especially as a spectator, I find so important to stand up as the person who only happened to be there. So, dear everybody, this jam was for you. And I'm really looking for somebody else to close it now.
Union, it's a very impressive story, and the questions you posed, Julia, were exactly the same I had. It's very hard for me to relate, but how would you have acted, Union, to pose another question, if it was much more unsafe, if the person had a gun or something, and you that is looking for the stretching of unsafety. When is the first rule of first aid is only help when you don't put yourself in danger as well. So well, that is for me a consideration which I have with it, but I don't know if other people have experience with that, because it is unsafe for yourself maybe, but if you go on the street and you see somebody get harassed or get very unsafe, when are you going to help and when not? So there's bravery, but there's also stupidity.
Yeah.
That is but maybe I would like, it is very thank you for sharing, everybody. It is impressive, especially I didn't feel I had enough time with Fadi. It was my own fault, but Fadi has a really impressive story which I never hoped to experience. But anybody knows if there must be a difference when you're 9 years old like Fadi, or when you're like a young mom of 21 in such a situation. And I think a 9-year-old kid just sees the stress with his mom and dad, but just goes on, takes a ball or something and goes out to play. But how does a 21-year-old young mom cope with a situation of war? And well, that is, for me, it's interesting, because she can't say just be mindful and it will pass, it will go away, and I only have to care about myself and my food. But how can somebody defend him or herself from this kind of traumas? Or can anybody, do you relate, Fadi? What did you see with your family who was older?
Absolutely. There was even a situation that while we are having kind of an airstrike, I had the situation that my mother just throw me on the ground and just come over me just to cover me with her body. So, you know, that situation where somebody is sacrificing himself just to give you life. So I think this is one of the situations that will be okay. Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that happens with the parents, it's a double responsibility, because they have to care about their children, let's say safety, their children's survival before themselves. And yeah, this kind of awareness of safety and the constraints, the pressure that comes with it. Yeah, absolutely. For someone who's adult, you know, and he has people within his responsibility, it's a very tough situation, I would say.
All right, dear everyone. I'm a bit silent because this jam went a different direction than I thought, and I love the direction. I love the direction, and this is jamming, right? This is jamming. And for those who
we want to do it over again, should we do another take?
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
With you having the time, yes, Arne.
I think we can manipulate the recording with AI and make it a festive with music and singing and everything. Memes.
Now it went a different direction.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is what I'm going to do. I think this conversation just started. It didn't finish. It just started. And perhaps we should, organize more side tracks to keep this conversation going, and having these topics connect us to each other even more. So that's something that I really, really would like to do, and do that in the community of Future Skills, connecting it, being able to keep a space safe is a future skill, no doubt about it. And we all should be able to learn how to do it, and to teach and show how to do it. So these are perhaps big words, but for some of you, these are small words because you are working on it already. Ha ha. So with your permission, everyone, I had a beautiful jam. I don't want to let you go. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.